Hey, what's up, y'all? Hello, it's your girl Sharita. It's been a long time since I've gone live, but I wanted to talk to y'all. I wanted to get on here live today. I want us to connect and just check in and see how you're doing. I got a good one for y'all tonight. It's a good one, okay? How are y'all doing? Did you take care of yourselves today? Okay, here at the Morgan Unlimited Growth Institute, we are taking care of ourselves and growing ourselves while we are improving our children's behavior and learning from home. Hey Cheryl, welcome. How you doing, lady? It's been a long time. It's been a long time since I've gone live, and I'm so happy that you're the first face here, the first person I see. Very good. How you doing? I know you have experience in teaching, so I'm very happy to be hanging with you tonight, okay? So first we want to check in with ourselves before we get into this, because this is a huge task to teach a middle schooler or high schooler how to read, okay? And there's a lot that comes with this. And what I mean is when you have to start from scratch, when you have a child who is a teenager now, okay, maybe in the 6th, 7th, 8th grade, or 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, and they cannot read. You have to start from scratch. Maybe you have to start from letter sounds. Maybe they don't know all their sight words. You know, it's a big deal. It's a huge deal for them, okay? So we're going to get into it tonight. Hey, Mariah Queen in the house. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, so let's check in. Tell me how you doing. If you took care of yourself today, okay? You had a good day. How the kids doing, okay? How the kids, how the family, all right? Because, man, we're super moms in here. We're doing great, big things here. We're doing great, big, huge things here. But we're moms. We have families, you know? I'm doing great, Mariah. Thank you so much for coming to hang tonight. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much. All right, so I have to give myself a kick in the butt, y'all, because I did not sleep last night. I was up late. I was just so into it, doing laundry, cleaning up. I was even cooking and I was working. I was just all into it. And then next thing I looked up and it was late and I was tired. All right, but I don't know if you saw the video. Mariah says we all doing great. I'm so happy to see that. I'm so happy to hear that everyone's doing great. If you saw the video earlier, I went and got some juice for the day, because today kicks off my self-care week. I'm starting to call it a self-care week. It was a 7-day gym challenge. It was a 7-day vegan challenge with low carb. Now I know that is keto vegan. I didn't know that there was a term for it, okay? And it was also 7-day juicing. So instead of saying 7 days, it's just self-care week. What am I doing? And we're customizing our own self-care, moms, just like we're customizing how we are teaching our children from home. Okay, we're customizing it. All right. So these are the things that I need. But now I'm just calling it a self-care week. So for 7 days, it started today. And I knew I needed a boost. I knew I needed help. I knew I couldn't do it all on my own. Had to prep. So I went to that juice place and got some juice, 3 juices and a smoothie. And that's what I had today. I'm going to eat a big old salad and a few. And then that's it. And I feel great. I felt bad earlier. Nutrients is the key. All right. So that's how I'm doing. My kids doing good. They're in the bed. That's why I'm here hanging with you, because I didn't want to get interrupted. Okay? That's right. So, we're going to talk about it today. Hey, Delis, hello. Mr. Francois in the house. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for hanging. It's one of my dads in the program. So happy to see you. And his daughter's amazing. That's my champion. It's my little champion right there. So welcome, welcome. Tell me how you doing. Tell me how my little champion's doing. Tell me everything that's going on. All right. Right, said, LOL, I feel that. I know, man. They come in here. My youngest daughter be standing guard outside the bathroom like she's security. Like I come out and she's standing right there like, what? You ain't gotta be security. I'm good in here. All right. So how we teach, how a middle schooler, high schooler how to read. We start from scratch. First thing, there are 3 things I want y'all to understand. 3 things I want y'all to understand. Number 1 is they have learned to live without reading. They have learned to live without reading. It doesn't help that in school now there's less requirements for reading aloud, okay? And I talk to my students and I talk to my daughters. So my oldest daughter was in high school. So that what I'm hearing is, you know, they don't have to read aloud. It's not often they read aloud. Sometimes the teacher is reading aloud to them the story. And then if they're reading, and my daughter tells me this, if they're reading and they make a mistake in their reading when they're reading aloud, the teacher doesn't correct them. They just let them keep it moving, right? In my class, my tutor coaching program, my students know. Like, I'm very meticulous about that. You gotta read it exactly the way the author wrote it. You ain't write this? Exactly. Do not miss a letter. I don't want you skipping over the, you know what I mean? And if there's a word that they didn't read correctly, I coach them on it until they get it, and they practice it, and then we keep it moving. Right, so that's my kids. I'll be like, I'm okay, right? Get out the bathroom. Right? So this is a practice that I think that we as parents need to make sure our kids do at home. Why? We can't really rely on the schools to do it because they have a lot of kids. They have a lot of kids. These are our babies. So as parents, we don't really realize how really influential and powerful we are. Whatever you want, and believe this, whatever you want your child to accomplish, they will accomplish. You don't have to wait for the rest of the world to okay it or be equipped to do it. We know our children are best. Whatever we want and whatever we think that they don't know, that's what they should be working on and accomplishing. Right, Mariah? Okay, so that's the number 1 thing. They have learned to live without reading because they don't have to. They don't have to. And then when they do, they've learned to function without having to read. There's a lot of support in school as well that will help them. So they're not stretching their brains to grow in that area. And problem solve, like learning to read is a problem solving process. When you are reading and you come across words you don't know, you have to slow down. You have to like, all right, how do I figure this out? And take it piece by piece and figure it out. So that's something that the brain needs practice. They need to learn how to things build up that muscle. That means, and because of that, they need to practice every day. But they have learned, and they're perfectly fine right now. No matter how painful it is, it's a comfort zone for them. So they are fine with staying there. Imagine 13 years old, 14 years old, 15 years old, 16, 17, and they cannot read. This is something that they have learned to just be okay with. No matter how painful it is. That's the sad part. All right? So they're not going to, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to pull themselves out of that place on their own. They need us. And then they're not equipped really to do it either. They need us. Okay? We got them. Number 2 thing I want you to understand is it's extremely embarrassing. It's extremely embarrassing. I know from when new students come into my program, before they understand how we do things, and before we understand that we get it wrong all the time, we don't care. We make mistakes every day, and we keep going until we get it right. And until they start to achieve those mini successes, and like, oh, okay, it's safe to get it wrong. It's safe to not know what to do. And for the other kids, having that environment where the other kids have to be supportive and be patient. While each kid is mastering their level of reading wherever they are, they will be very embarrassed, and I could tell by their facial expressions they're very nervous and they want to run. Okay, so they will avoid it at all costs. Okay, now then that's the 3rd thing I want you to understand is they have developed ways to avoid reading. It starts when they're younger, okay? Because I teach students from youngest, you have to be at least 4 years old, up until high school. And now I'm going to be having a college student I'm working with soon. But the younger ones, it's easier to teach them how to read because their brains are like a sponge and they haven't experienced that failure over and over and over and over and over again. Therefore, therefore, they're not running from it and fighting as hard as the older kids are doing. Okay? So, they have learned ways to avoid it. As they get older, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, they will do everything. They will become distracted. They will drop their pencil. They will fall out of their chairs. They will actually use the bathroom. This is not just reading. This is also writing, by the way. Anything that they don't know how to do, because kids don't feel like failures, they will do all these things. They may bother other kids in the class. They may become disruptive. They may become disrespectful. They may try to leave the room or fight or anything. And I've worked with kids who, even if it's a testing day and they're nervous about the test, they don't want to do it, they'll start a fight in the classroom, right? So all these things, when we see them doing this, we have to understand that there's a correlation between their behavior and their fear of failure, their inability to get past this point and figure out how to get past this wall, this next level right here where they are stuck. So when we focus on just the behavior and how they're acting, then we don't get to solve the actual problem, okay? So it starts like that. And if they can do it enough and adults back off enough, and we never equip them and we never help them get through this really tough part and help them establish success, when they get older, it's just the way they do it now. It's just the way they do it. This is how I do it, okay? But when they are older, it's more dangerous because now they are cutting class. Now they are not doing their assignments. They get in trouble for not doing their assignments. They have a lot of missing assignments. And some kids might they don't want to do the work. And they don't, it's not really enforced that much. Like nobody chasing them down in your face like I'll be doing. But other kids, if they are reading on a 2nd grade level and they are middle school or high school, or even below that, how are they supposed to do it independently? The key is making sure that they can function independently, making sure they can sit down and read everything themselves and answer it, because they're smart, they have reasoning abilities, but they can't read it. It's like rushing to them, okay? So those are the 3 things that you want to understand. Number 1, they have learned to live without reading, and they will continue to do that. They will become adults, just finding areas of ways of coping with it and still being able to get through the day. Do we want that though? Do we want them to just figure out how to keep it moving and never master this? Okay. Number 2 is extremely embarrassing, so it's affecting their self-esteem. It's painful for the younger kids, but the pain for the older kids that I see in their faces and in their actions is way worse, okay? Until they start to be able to move forward and they're like, I just read that. I was able to read that. Then their face starts to open up. They get more excited. It happens every single time. As soon as kids start learning how to read when they couldn't read for years, they just want to keep reading. They just want to keep reading. Even if they fight me because they know I'm very much on top of them. I'm tough with them. Because they can't have any excuses, they can't run. They still are excited when they're able to read. And they still are excited about conquering this next word, conquering this next sentence, okay? And then the last thing is they've developed ways to avoid it, many ways, all right? So that's part of the behavior problems they're having. That's why here we focus on improving learning and behavior at the same time. We have to have a plan for both. Because there's no way they are going to improve and be able to read when these behaviors they've been using since they've been a small kid, are still serving its purpose. And they can get them out of doing reading, okay? So, it also, how else does it look when a middle schooler or high schooler is struggling with reading? They don't know how to read, and it's affecting their self-esteem. They're not going to tell you this is affecting my self-esteem or this is affecting my confidence. Most of the time, they're not going to articulate it. They're going to be like, they're going to have this nonchalant, I don't care attitude. They're going to get an attitude with you. You know what I mean? And it's easy to take it personally when they fight back that way and have the I don't care attitude. Like I'm not going to do it and I don't care. right? It's easy to be disheartened by that, but I want y'all to understand that's a mask. It's not real. That's a cover up. That's just protecting their ego. That's protecting the wound, right? Because every time they have to look at a word or a passage and they feel like they're not going to be able to read it, it opens the wound up. It's pouring more salt into the wound. So they rather just keep the band-aid on it and never open it. Do you understand? Y'all feel me? This right here is a crisis. This right here is a crisis because every child should be able to read. Every child should be able to feel confident when it comes to reading. Every child should be, if they're in school, they should feel productive. They should be productive and they should feel successful. And when they're not, this is really a crisis. Like imagine you going out to work or you going out for your career and you are messing up every day. You're getting everything wrong. You're always in danger of losing your job. You can't do nothing right? And you see other people are able to do it and do good, but you are really struggling. How would you feel? So this is how it will look like in our lives as adults. This is how it looks like in the life as a child. For us, it's our job and it's our career. For them, it's school. They don't have a job yet or career. This is their life, okay? So you want to make sure that they are successful, feeling successful at school. Then they're going to want to participate more. Then they're going to want to get better, okay? All right, let me know what y'all think so far, okay? About this. What do you think about how children, teenagers and high schoolers may be reading? They're in high school, they're in middle school, but they may be reading on the second grade level, first grade level. Do you think it's possible for them to function in the classroom and feel successful when they can't read what the teacher's writing on the board, or the teacher's giving the workout and maybe they need an aide to sit next to them and read it for them when other kids don't? How do you think that affects them? Okay? And do you think that this definitely will cause them to fight and give you a hard time because this is what they're going through every day? Let me know how y'all feel. So now let's talk solution. I'm a very solution focused person. Okay? The first thing I always meet with moms during the consultation process. First I meet with moms or dads and I find out what they notice with their child, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are. There's some questions that I ask specifically that I want to know so that I can gauge where they are, because I'm about to meet with them. And I want to know what parents want their child to accomplish, right? Because moms and dads, they are looking from the outside in, but that's your baby. So you are the most invested in your child, and you pay attention. You notice things. Sometimes y'all don't notice how much y'all notice. You think you might not know, but sometimes you just it's just you don't feel like you're equipped, but you are their parents. You know them better than anybody, right? So that's the first thing. And then when I meet with them, this is what you want to find out. I ask them, I let them know I help kids improve their reading, writing, and spelling. And I always ask, which one of those areas do you want to get better at the most? Because what you want to do is you want to find out how they feel about their reading. And then you want to know what they want to do about it. Now, for years, they haven't been talking about it. That doesn't mean they haven't been thinking about it, okay? And I get some really good answers from kids, and for them to tap into this big struggle. This is a big struggle for me, okay? And I want to be able to read. Some students tell me I want to be able to read, but I can't. I want to be able to read so I can understand what's going on in the classroom, okay? I want to improve my writing because I don't know how to spell that well, or I write sloppy, right? So they tell me these different things. And I also ask them, because it's behavior and learning. I also ask them and tell them I help kids improve their focus and make good choices. What do you want to improve on the most? And some of them say focus, some of them say make good choices, some of them say both, right? And someone will say, I want to focus more because it'll help me learn better, or make good choices, because sometimes I don't make good choices, and they may tell me about a situation. Kids have insight into where they need to grow. So since the kids are older, and I do this down to the youngest ones, I talk to them, right? During the during the consultation, or during the first times I'm meeting with them, one-on-one orientation. So when they're older, it's much easier to teach kids when they're younger, or to get them to do what you need them to do when they're younger. When they're older, it's a little trickier. They have to be a partner in this growth journey for reading. They have to think about what they want out of life. They have to think about how reading will improve their life, their day-to-day life right now. How writing will be able to spell better is going to improve their day-to-day right now. So when the older kids have a say, and they are a partner in their own growth, this is taking responsibility for my actions of education. This is one of the goals of my action plans. Okay, then they're more invested. You want them to take ownership of it, and you want them to be invested. You want them to say, I want to improve my reading. It would make me feel better if I could read. I want to be able to read it on my own. You want them to say it. So, and ask them, how do you think you can improve your reading? How do you think that's going to happen? And let them start, even if they don't know, let the wheel start turning. So find out from them before you lay down an action plan and figure out what needs to happen for them. Find out from them so that they can be a part of their own growth. As you set goals with them, as they figure out where they want to go, as they figure out how much, like they say, I need to practice every day. How long do you think you need to practice? Right? What do you want to read every day to practice? Have them talk about it out loud. So have a conversation and find out where they want to go, how they feel about their reading, and where they want to go with it, how they want to go about growing themselves in their reading. And then they're going to be looking for your guidance after that. Our children need guidance, right? They can't, I don't know, kids are very smart, but they can't solve a lot of these problems on their own without first learning how to solve problems. They can't improve their reading on their own without first becoming aware of and understanding their own reading process, how they read and where they get stuck and what's missing, and put some structure around it. They need guidance, all right? And who's going to do that for them? Us. We're going to do that. We're going to take the time, because in school it's too many kids, and they have to focus on every kid. But at home, it's just them and us and the other kids too. But, right? All right? Next thing you want to do is an assessment. You don't want to start reading nothing to you or working with your child about improving their reading without doing an assessment. What are you assessing for? You want to know what's missing, what they should have learned years ago that they never learned, what they should have mastered. And that definitely needs to be an action plan. But you also want to hear them read aloud, and you want to hear how they read. It's not just about, do they know how to read or not? Can they read the sentence or not? But how did they read it? Where did they get stuck? And be very specific and nosy with it. I'm very nosy, like with my students. Be very specific. So you may hear them read, but if it's a 3-letter word, they can do that. But if you put a consonant blend in there, if they get stuck, that's going on an action plan. They need to learn how to master consonant blends, right? Or they miss the S at the end of the word when they're reading. That's going on in the action plan. Or they skip word, or they substitute. They just make something up, how they read. Notice what they do when they have to read a word. Do they start looking around? Do they say, can I use the bathroom? Do they ask what time it is? Do they, especially with writing, I give my students writing prompts when they first come in. These are the things that I look for. Do they ask you a bunch of questions before they even get started? They're not used to functioning independently, and they're nervous about doing it on their own, right? Do they start looking around instead of looking at the reading? Okay, you have to tell them to refocus. Like, all of these things show me I don't just look at that and say, oh, they're distracted. I want to know at what point they become distracted. If they're reading sight words and it was pretty smooth and they're excited and they're leaning towards the camera and they're really into it, but then when I give them a passage to read, they lean back, they start looking around, they start moving around, they drop their pencil, they say, can you use the bathroom real quick, or they may get up and dart out of the room. Okay, I have had kids do that as well. Or they start saying, this is hard, or I don't know this, without even trying. Then that shows me that reading a passage makes them very nervous and they're not equipped to handle it. So when you're doing that assessment, you're assessing what they don't know. You're assessing to find out where their challenge level is. So they're in high school or they're in middle school, but the second grade story is giving them problems. Okay. The first grade story was fine, but the second grade is starting to struggle, but that's their challenge level. They need to master that and then get to third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and keep it moving till they get to the top. All right? So you're looking for a challenge level, you're looking for what's missing, what they should know. You're looking for fluency. If it's very choppy when they're reading, if they keep pausing, if every time they find a word that they don't know, they just make something up, or they move back and then they have to come back in. You want it to be smooth all the way through. Okay? Those are the things on the literacy side, but you're also looking for the behaviors that happen because you need a plan for both. You need a plan for both. You need a plan for when it's time to sit down and read. These are the things that my son or my daughter does because they're uncomfortable with reading. And that takes time away from reading, and that stops them from doing it, and they keep breaking their own focus by doing these things. So I need a plan for that. When he does this is what we're going to do. When he does that, that's what we're going to do. If she does this is what we're going to do. And then we get back to it. Okay? And also you need a plan for the literacy things that you see in there, that skills and concepts that they don't have. Okay? So you need an assessment. You need to find out what their challenge level is. And then, this is going to be the toughie. Okay? But we can do it, y'all. We can do it. This right here applies to, the tips I'm giving applies to all ages, but it's particularly delicate when they get older. And I'm going to give you the last one. For the little kids, they move a lot. They're very active. They move around a lot to avoid reading. The older kids get disrespectful, or they'll push back, or they'll complain, act like you're the problem. And I've had kids come to a program huffing and puffing and acting like, and then refusing to do it and acting like I'm a problem and all this other stuff. And then they end up with more classes with me. Wow, I'm looking in their face, they're looking in my face. I'm like, same paragraph from last time. Like, what? Like, we gonna do this? And they fight at first, and they get mad at first, but then after a while, when they start to move forward, they are excited, and then they, and they appreciate it because now they are successful, but they don't know they'll get there. So that's the tough part. The resistance from the older kids is much stronger than the younger kids. And the younger kids just be wanting to please you after a while. Once you teach them to sit down and focus and stay on task and not talk when they're not supposed to talk and be on point when it's time to write and everything, after that, it's a breeze. The older kids, they will fight you, okay? Right? So the last one, then they gotta learn Miss Sharita, because, I don't play them games and I don't care about all that. We still gonna do it because this is what needs to get done. You have to close all doors. This applies to both age groups, but really focus on middle school and high school. You have to close all doors. That means no escape. No escape. This is every time. This is what we're doing. It's still here. You need to practice it. If it's not done, then this is going to happen, and you still got to get on it. They're waiting to see you get so frustrated. I'm going to tell you guys some nuggets right here. They're waiting to see you get so frustrated that you throw your arms up. You be like, forget it. If you don't want to learn how to read, then I'm just trying to help you. So you can have a better future. Then we start talking a lot about we filling all the gaps for them. So you can have a better future, because if you get out there and you can't read, you're gonna be struggling. I'm just trying to help you, but if you don't want, so we start doing that out of frustration, because it is frustrating. It is frustrating, parents. It's very frustrating. But we have to understand that's part of the game. That every day your child is like, I'm still not gonna do it until she give up. Until he give up. I'm still not gonna do it. I'm still not gonna be all over the place and play around. I'm still gonna, because they're waiting to see if you're gonna give up. Because part of them really wants to learn how to read, but they're scared. Will I be able to do it? The other part of them is like, if mom or dad stops trying to make me do it, then it'll just be easier for everybody. Right? So that's what I'm going to focus on. That's the easiest route to overcome this and make myself better, is the hard route. And it doesn't feel good, and I got to worry about failing all the time and getting it wrong and feeling bad. Because they don't know that after that they won't feel good. They don't know about the other side yet, but you do. You do. All right? And the other part is, they just waiting. Basically, they just waiting for you to give up. So if you stick with it, have your structure in place, have a plan in place for everything that they do, like observe it and see what they do to get out of it and how hard they fight. It's not about how hard they fight. It's about, what is the fight today? What's the new fight? Because they become up with new stuff sometimes, but I have like a million things in my head. I've been working with kids for years, so don't nothing surprise me. And if they come up with something that they haven't done before, or, then I come up with something that I've never done before. So it's fine. It's fine. And that's how you gotta do. You gotta adapt. But you have to not give up. Close all doors. No excuses. Don't let them relax. Them reading for 30 minutes a day is not going to kill them. Even if they act like it is. Even if they act like you're a problem. Even if they act like they'd rather be on their phone. You being extra. You being aggy. Stuff teenagers be talking about. Right? All that stuff. It's not going to, this is for their betterment. Right? So, they need to know it's going to be there every day. No matter what. There may be times where they sit down and they just refuse to read and have an attitude. Or they may pick a fight with their sister or brother and cause a lot of chaos in your house before, so that y'all both stressed by the time, they sit down. Whatever it is, it's still the same structure. No matter what, you still sit down with this book. You still sit down with this book. Now you have to have customized strategies based on how they read to get through it. Right? But you're still sitting down with this book. In the beginning, it's not about how much they read that day. It's about sitting down with this book. They might have read 2 sentences and acted crazy for the rest of the time. The next day, they might read 3. Once our kids realize that the structure is going to be there no matter what, they can't get out of it, they stop fighting. Some kids take longer than others. I've had kids in my program that fought me on writing an essay to grow themselves, taking responsibility for it. They was acting up, behavior problems and stuff, and they had detention with me, which is behavior and growth detention. I customized it that way. And they thought, I'm just going to come to class every time and just not write and play around. And they was waiting for me to be like, well, forget it, since you don't want to. No. It took them a long time. Then they was like, let me just go ahead and write this. That's what you want. I am so good at that point, getting to that point, where kids like, let me just go ahead and do this, because she ain't budging. Right? So, but understand this. I'm going to tell y'all this right now. This is so important. Even though your child this is tough for them. This is a struggle for them. These behaviors are just a reaction to stress. It's coping. It's how they deal with it. You know what they're going through. You know it's tough for them. You know they have a fear of failure. They may not disrespect you. That is not a reason for them to disrespect you. It is not an excuse for them to disrespect you. They still have to respect you. They still have to honor you as their parents. And they still need to have a consequence if they don't. And then next day, back into the book. Make it happen. So we've come full circle because this is where the self-care comes in. When I've talked to lots of moms over the years, and some dads too, where they give up the behavior cycle and mastering your child's behavior cycle that they use to get out of doing things. It could be reading, it could be schoolwork, it could be chores, whatever it is. The point at which you give in or give up or just lose it and then you give in or give up, you know what I mean? That's all part of it, right? If you're not taking care of yourself, it's very easy to fold. It's very easy to get overwhelmed with it. And even though your child may be trying to get you to get overwhelmed, the way that they feel the next day when they still can't read, they still feel like a failure. So it's worth it. So take care of yourself enough so that when you come there, you can stay firm with what you need to do. So you don't give in, but you don't burn out at the same time. And you also can keep your expectations for them. Okay? And if you need to give a consequence, you can stick to the consequence. Okay? So those are the key ingredients. Let me know how y'all feel so far about that. This, like I said, this applies to a lot of age levels. But when they're older, it's like, it's an emergency because, and the resistance is way stronger. And if they don't get this, what's there for them in the outside world? If they are in 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, and they still have not learned how to read, they are grown, right? Moving into that stage of their life where they are grown, it's going to be very tough for them. And if they were failing in high school, feeling like a failure every day, what's their adulthood going to look like? It's imperative that they learn how to read. And it's never too late. You understand that? Never too late. I have students coming to my program who haven't been able to read all their lives. And their parents are like frustrated. They have an IEP in school and everything, special education, still have not learned how to read. And then they start my program and within weeks they're reading. Okay? So it doesn't matter. It's never too late. It's never too late. Okay? Decide what you want for your child, number one. Number two, understand where they are as far as how they feel right now, what the struggle is, what they want to accomplish with their reading, right? And the assessment, assess what's missing and assess their behaviors that are getting in the way of their academic success and growth. All right? Then put a plan together. 3 plans you need. A behavior action plan, a literacy action plan, and a self-care action plan. Okay? Put yourself in here. I want to hear I just want to make sure my kid's straight, and after that, I'll worry about myself. You won't survive. Okay? You won't survive. Right? Or it'd be much, much faster growth if you make room for yourself in there too. You have to teach your child that, yeah, I'm here for you. I'm here. I'm rocking with you so that you can accomplish this because I believe in you and I love you. I know y'all doing that already, but at the same time, I'm a person, okay? And we're going to keep it respectful. This is what you need from me. I'm giving this to you, but this is what I need from you. Make it an exchange. This is a partnership. You're working hard for them. They better work hard for you. Okay? All right? All right? And the last thing, like we said, we want to make sure we know what their challenge level is. And the last thing is close all doors, no escape. You ain't going nowhere. You're going to do this. And You'll be all right. Right? You'll be all right. Don't get caught up in the moment, worrying about how they feel, and if it's something that's an avoidance tactic. I'm not saying dismiss their feelings, but a lot of these times these kids be complaining and fighting about stuff they don't need to be complaining and fighting about. It's not really what the real issue is. It's just their way of getting out of doing something that they don't want to do, or getting something they know they haven't earned or shouldn't have. So make sure that you have that all in place before you get started. So that's my advice on how to teach middle schoolers and high schoolers how to read. I've been doing it for a long time, and it's customization along the way for each kid. Every kid is different for their learning, how they learn and everything. But when I tell you the process is the same, it's the same. These things all have to be in place so that they can grow their thinking, so that they can become self-motivated and self-disciplined and have self-control and be accountable, and believe in themselves that they can do it. Go after it. Start to experience that growth and start to experience the successes, many successes that turn into big successes. And when that happens, you're going to see them trying to read everything. I just got a text from one of my moms in the program recently, and it's been a text like this over time, where she's like, he is reading. He's been reading all week. He didn't even want me to help him. He like, I got it, right? Why? Because success feels good. You're solving a major problem that they had since years ago, okay? So give your child that gift, but just don't give it to them. Have expectations too. And with y'all working together and you're not letting them escape because you believe in them, but at the same time, them growing to value your time and appreciate what you're doing, there's nothing y'all can't accomplish. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. And for the babies, the young ones coming in, when they start to learn how to read at a young age, they read advanced level. I have 2 students now in kindergarten. One of them is my daughter, and she read everything, anything and everything. Anything, and when I tell you anything and everything, she can read, okay? And I've, her and another one of my students, who's also 5 years old, kindergarten, she just got tested. They both got tested, and the teacher did assessments, and they read way above their grade level. What's the other thing? One day, because we always wanted to work at their challenge level, they're in kindergarten, so I was teaching them and reading with them a 2nd grade level. I said, let me try this 4th grade level story, see how they do. I was very impressed. It was a long passage, a couple different paragraphs in there, and they missed like 7 words and had to work on. We worked on them, got coached, and then they can read it, and then kept it moving. Okay, so when you start early, they can read way above their grade level very quickly. Okay, you start later, then they have to catch up. But when they start catching up, look out. Once you teach them the basics and teach them how to decode multi-syllabic words, break up those big words and stuff, then that's basically what you need to do as far as reading. They'll be able to read anything. Okay, so keep the faith, parents. All right, and understand that it's really you are the solution. You are the solution. A lot of kids are reading below grade level and struggling. From what customized, make sure it's done approach, they need us at home. They need us to make sure that they keep going when they're tired. You can't run when they want to avoid it. To make sure that they embrace the challenge. That's another one of the goals in my action plans for students. Like, embrace the challenge instead of running away from it. Figure it out. Everybody not going to tell you what to do and how to do every step of the way. What do you think? Figure it out. Okay? They need us. And so let's teach our kids to function independently and to go after it, set goals and achieve them. All right? We got this. I want to thank y'all so much for hanging with me tonight. It's so nice to talk to y'all. I haven't gone live in a long time, so I'm gonna do it more often so that we can connect and talk about improving our children, learning and growing them from home and taking care of ourselves. We're growing our whole families here, okay? We find solutions here. We customize solutions. So I want to talk to you more about that, all right? So that we can have the best year, and y'all have the best school year that you've ever had. This year, claim it. The best school year that you've ever had, all right? For more information, you can go to my website, growthinstitute.mykajabi.com. That's GROWTH Institute.mykajabi.com. If you want to send me a message and we chat, go ahead and send me a message. I'd love to hear from you, okay? With any questions, all right? All right, I love y'all so much. Believe in yourself. Believe in your child, honey. And always remember that growth is unlimited. Peace.